what are a couple of things that you dislike about Trump and a couple of things that you like about Kamala?
So if I was Kamala's campaign manager, I think Kamala's attractive. She's physically very attractive. Even Trump doesn't know how to take shots at her looks. Tell me who has been a more attractive person in politics than her, female side. Maybe AOC. Maybe there's a few others out there. I think AOC is very attractive. You can't say she's not attractive. AOC is physically attractive.
She's pretty, yeah.
She's pretty. We're not talking models, but I'm talking the standards are politics. She's attractive. She's good looking. You know, when she was younger, when you see her dating Montel Williams when he was 20 years older than her, and they said, "Is this your father? Are you his daughter?" And she says, "Excuse me, are you his daughter?" No, I'm not. And it was I don't know if you've seen that clip or not. It's a little awkward when you see something like that. So I think from that part, she's attractive. And the second thing I would tell you about her is you don't have to respect it or not. She thinks very highly of herself. So that's Kamala. You got to respect it. She thinks very highly of herself for her to feel like she's above people, and she's super attractive. Trump, well, have you seen a new movie that came out about Trump, The Apprentice? Have you guys seen that movie?
No,
I'm
I haven't.
sure you guys would have seen it.
No.
I saw it twice in the first week.
Okay.
And it's a hit piece on him. So it's not like it's a good movie. It's supposed to be a bad movie. My wife watched it. Both of my sons watched it, 12, 11. There's certain pieces in clips in it. It's inappropriate for your kids. And when we watch it, I didn't know those scenes were in it. It's pretty bad. With Roy Cohn, certain scenes you get prepared for. I have to tell my kids to close their eyes. And then I had a group of my guys that we watch it together. In a movie, it shows a clip that Roy Cohn, who was a former lawyer for the mobs, a lot of different people, Nixon, this guy was friends with Nixon and, McCarthy, young guy, killer, one of these, lawyers that historically were tough lawyers, like an F. Lee Bailey. I don't know if you guys have heard of the name F. Lee Bailey. This guy was a badass lawyer, smoking cigarettes, interviewed by Mike Wallace back in the days in a black and white interview. The way he sits down, like, listen, I'm a freaking powerful lawyer. There's certain lawyers that have certain gravitas about them and a certain level of confidence that's very attractive, appealing for TV, right? Roy Cohn was one of these guys. And he said, one, attack, always attack. So Trump's always attacking. And this is when he's asking in the scene, whether it's true or not, it's a great scene. Hey, you want to be the king of New York? Here's what you got to do. I'm going to tell you the rules. Number one, attack. Number two, never accept loss. Okay? Two, always claim victory. Right? So, you're going to sit there and you're like, well, sometimes he doesn't come across as relatable to the average person because I need to be able to see a certain level of vulnerability for me to say that's my guy. And it makes you want to run through the wall for him. Now, he has had some moments of that this last 12 months. When he got assassinated, the assassination attempt happened, and he gave that speech at RNC, and you saw him having a moment, you could tell he didn't speak like his regular self. When there is that one scene when they're showing he's on stage and they're playing a song and he got emotional. I don't know if you guys watched the interview.
I saw that.
When I showed that clip to him and I'm watching him and I see him goes like this. The first time in the entire interview, he goes like this and he's watching it and he's trying to change it. And, I'm in the body language business. I'm in the sizing my opponent business and sizing, not an opponent, but anybody, kids, family, people you're dealing with. I watch him and I'm asking myself, what is he telling himself right now? What is he telling himself right now? Because he was glued to the screen of him getting emotional with that song. That's a very, very emotional song, right? I watch him and he comes back, he says, yeah, America doesn't need me right now to get emotional, any of that stuff. I said, but what about when Pat Nixon died and Richard Nixon crying that he lost his wife? He says, no, I remember that scene. I remember it. He says, maybe one day, I don't know if he caught one. He says, maybe one day, but not right now, right? And what does he mean by maybe one day? I don't know. I'm sure he's had some moments that's very tough for him, but the fact that he's 100%, I am not going to show any emotion or hurt ever. For anybody to say, well, that's why he's not this, and that. And then the argument for that could be, go explain why Madison Square Garden has as many people as had there, and they called it the greatest political event ever ran, where Musk is there, he's there, Dana's there, all these guys are there. What happened with that event? So whatever we may disagree and not like doesn't mean it's not working. It's working. You just don't have to like it.
I agree with the relatable aspect. I don't think he's incredibly relatable, but I would chalk it up to the weave, to be honest. When he starts talking about all of these different things, it's like when you're shooting the stuff with your friend, you kind of just point and shoot, answer, question, and stuff like that. But he tends to go way off topic, and it makes me think a little bit more of like someone who's trying to be really diplomatic and like adding a lot of fluff to stuff rather than just kind of going straight for the answer. And I like JD Vance for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
He's more vulnerable.
Yeah.
He's very, very relatable. And he's also very point and shoot with his questions and answers.
Well, he by the way, prediction, then I'm going to come back to your weave thing. If I forget, remind me, I'm going to go back to the weave. Here's my prediction for you. Between now and November 5th, Trump is the most hated man in America by mainstream media. On November 6th, number one on that list is going to be Musk. Number two is going to be JD Vance. Number three is going to be Trump. Let me explain to you why. Because who is the only person, if you pull out a chart and you put a timeline, you'll have Trump is 4 years. Musk is 53, 54 right now. How long do you think Musk's going to live? 30, 40 years?
Mm-hmm.
So Musk is like this. That's why he's the most feared and hated person. Okay, minus politics. JD Vance is not only 4, but JD Vance is currently proven himself to be the number one candidate in 2028. And this could be 12-year run because Jake Tapper doesn't know how to handle JD Vance. Dana Bash doesn't know how to handle JD Vance. The media doesn't know how to handle JD Vance. He goes on Theo Vaughn. They love JD Vance. He's on stage. They love him. So for me, November 6th, you will see what's going to happen. The amount of attacks going after JD is going to go to the roof on November 6th because they know he's next.
Well, we have the prediction, and we'll be able to check back up on that, I'm sure, in probably a year when we do the annual PBD podcast.
I look forward to it.
I think that is a very astute observation. I agree with it. I think the incentive structures are there for them to do that.
That's right.
So it makes sense.
Yeah.
People follow incentives, and I think that's very, very plausible.
And in regards to the weave, you know who's famous for doing the weave?
Oh.
How much money have you spent in your life with lawyers? I don't want the number, but think about the money that we spend with lawyers. You know what's the one thing about lawyers? You ask a lawyer a question. So, hey, John, I'm going through this and this, that. What do you think I should do? Well, I remember when I was dealing with this one case, and it all depends because in the state of Florida, their job is to prolong the call to collect their fees, right? Lawyers are pro at doing that, and they're frustrating, but guess what? They're collecting their fees. So sometimes that weaving stuff is fine if you're coming back to the point. For lawyers, it doesn't matter. I'm just collecting.
Sometimes in that case, I think there's so much nuance that there's not just
they don't want to give you an answer.
Sometimes
because then
you can't
they're
just
holding
give
their
an
feet to
answer.
the fire. You know, once they give you a direct answer.
I got a lot of lawyers that are now with me that I've had for years, and I like them. But sometimes the lawyers that you're dealing with at first, oh my God, it's a 2-minute question. 45 minutes later, I'm getting billed for 2 hours.
That's why you got them connect.
That's why you got them connect. Exactly.